I am here with Jasmine Jasudavicius, who is coming off a big win in Edmonton, coming into another big fight, which is fantastic. We're going to jump into that, but we'll go back first. Edmonton, Alberta, you get the fight of the night submission against Ariane De Silva. And we talked a little bit in Edmonton. I think you had a little bit of a mix up with the flight. So, what happened there?
Edmonton. Yeah, after it's done with, like, forget about always. But oh yeah, on the day that we were leaving, it was like the day before, or whatever. The we got a message from the flight attendant, or from the airline, saying that the flight has been changed and now we have a flight to Vancouver and then like a 4 hour layover or something like that in Vancouver, and then we would fly to Edmonton. And then so I'm like, what the heck? Like, we went from a direct flight that was supposed to be 4.5 hours to a full day of travel that was going to be like a 12 or 18 hour day of travel. And so luckily, the UFC is so amazing, and so we contacted them and said, like, "Hey, any chance we can get direct flights again? Like, this is crazy." And so, luckily, they figured everything out, and they got us on to direct flights instead of making a whole day of travel.
So good that you were able to get that sorted out because you don't want that when you're cutting weight and you got a fight coming up. But what's crazy to me is for those who don't know Canadian geography, Vancouver is further west of Edmonton than you know uh, anything else. So you would have gone past Edmonton, probably had a layover, and then had to come back to Edmonton. That's wild.
Yeah, no, I when I saw that, I was like, "This is crazy."
So you get to Edmonton, everything goes smoothly. You get that submission. Uh, Ariane De Silva is someone who had the submission of the year in 2020 from the UFC itself. UFC.com gave her that for that knee bar she had. Uh, does that kind of give you a little bit of boost of confidence in your ground game? Does it matter more to you? Make it a little more special when you beat someone who's got that kind of accolade?
Yeah, it definitely does. The more successful she is, and then showing myself on top of that, then obviously the better. But yeah, I was definitely like nervous going into that fight, so I'm glad that it went the way that it did.
Wow, it was another big moment for you in Canada and 3-0 in 2024. So sum this year up for me for you.
I think I fought 4 times, 3 or 4 times this year. On it, honestly, it's like once the fight is done and I have another one booked, then it's like I completely forget about all of that, and I'm only focused on kind of what's ahead of me.
Have you always been that way, kind of just always on to the next one? Or is this just, you're at that point in your career where you're going on this run and you kind of got to just have that tunnel vision to what's to come?
I think I've kind of always been like that. If you're like looking behind you, then you're missing out what's going on in front of you. So I think it's like once something's done, I'm just like, okay, well, that was fun. What's next?
Well, we found out earlier this week what is next. You're going to welcome Mayra Bueno Silva back to the flyweight division. Now, you guys shared a card in Toronto, UFC 297. She fought for the bantamweight title. Now she's coming back down to flyweight. So, what is your take on this fight? How did you react to it? I mean, this is huge because she's fought for a UFC title. This is a big one for your career.
Yeah, this was a huge opportunity. Like you said, she fought for a title before, at the weight class above, which is, it is what it is. So when this got offered and like the team said, like, hey, I think this is a good move, then I was about it. I've trained with her before, and so I kind of like knew a little bit what she brings to the table. So yeah, once we kind of got offered that, I was of course nervous because she is very, very talented and very skilled. But yeah, this is what has to be done in order to make my way to the top, and that's part of the process.
You're 3-0 in Canada. This one is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Is that just like the date and time, or sorry, date and location that was offered, or?
Yeah, so I was thinking about like when am I gonna fight next? And then they kind of like offered this, and initially they offered it in January. And I'm like, I can't fight in January. I just like I've been very active. I'm like, I need like a little bit more time. And then so then they said, so yeah, January was supposed to be at the Apex, and then they said February, and then so I'm like, okay, that's not much time. And then they're like in Saudi Arabia. I'm like, let's do it. You know, like how cool is that? Life's about experiences. And once I heard that it was in Saudi Arabia, I was like, what could get like what's crazier than that right now? And that's like jumping on opportunities is what I do. So I thought that it would make the most sense.
So I love that reaction because a lot of people will be like, "Oh God, the travel, that's so far," and you're like, "Hey, that's crazy. Let's do it." You're just embracing the craziness.
That exactly like the almost the more potential adversity, the better. I thrive when the pressure's on, and so this kind of adds to the fun.
So I know it's still several months away, but have you thought about whether you're gonna maybe go out a little early, acclimate to the time difference and everything, or?
So prior to getting this fight booked, I already had a plan with a girl on my team, Danielle. She's going to Indonesia for a competition, like a mixed martial arts competition. And so I was already planning to go out with her. And then so we just decided instead of canceling the trip, then we'll still continue go to Indonesia, but then afterwards I'll go over to Thailand and then bring a bunch of people out there, and then I'll do camp in Thailand, and then we'll go from Thailand to Saudi.
Nice. So is this going to be your first time actually doing a camp in Thailand, or have you done that before?
I've never done a camp there, but I've been there for training. But this will be my first camp in Thailand.
That is awesome. Well, that's going to be an amazing experience. Um, and with her coming back down from 135, she's made flyweight before, so shouldn't be a huge concern. You've also fought as a bantamweight, although it wasn't really expected. So I imagine whatever happens, this fight's probably going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I'm signing the contract, then I'm fighting. I'm not one to pull out or like cancel for any other reason.
Well, this is going to be a good one. A very cool, very big moment in your career. You've also got the number 13 ranking right now following the UFC Edmonton card, slowly making your way up that division. Did you think maybe you might jump a few more spots with that win?
I was hoping, but I don't know. You can hope for the best, but it's like when the circumstances come, what are you supposed to do? And nothing I can do about it. I'm not gonna cry over spilt milk.
Definitely. And then, you know, this is kind of a weird question to ask when you've had so much success recently, but at 35, how good do you feel? Because for a lot of athletes, 35, you're leaving your prime, but I feel like you started so late in the sport that you're probably in the middle of your prime, so to speak, right now.
I think so. Like I feel good. My By this point, a lot of people have been in the sport for so long that the injuries are adding up, and the injuries are making it like not be able to put in an entire camp or put in the effort that they need to be able to perform the night of like during camp. So I'm fortunate that I didn't start when I was a kid. So I don't have these injuries adding up. Like my body's healthy, my mind's healthy. I'm still like eager to fight and to do the sport and to do training. I'm not like tired out from it. I'm not like, oh, been there, done that, seen everything. Like everything is still very new and exciting to me. So I'm like a white belt, like a kid in a candy store, like, oh, what's next? Like this is all still very exciting.
Outside of your own career, are you still a fan of the sport, so to speak?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean I don't watch as much as I guess I could, but that's mainly because I go to bed early but the fights are on so late here that I miss so many main events just because I'm like, okay, it's like midnight. I'm way past my bedtime.
You're probably not watching this weekend's card then, because I think it starts at like some ridiculous time in the morning because they're in Macau.
Yeah, like any fights like that, I'll try to catch them the next day, but I'm not able to watch like the whole card, but I'll pick out like the fights that I do want to watch. But yeah, that's the only thing that sucks. I liked when I was in Vegas because then the fights were on in like the afternoon. It was over by like max 10 o'clock, and I'm like, this is perfect.
Even Edmonton, when we left Edmonton the next day, and I was thinking, like, this is amazing. I had a full night of sleep. I never have a full night of sleep when I leave a show.
Yeah.
Uh, one thing I want to ask you as well, you've won two post-fight bonuses this year, and we heard from Dustin Stolfutz in Edmonton, and he made this comment. He said, those $50,000 bonuses, that's huge for someone who's basically working a blue-collar job. And when you're not, a top star in the UFC, it kind of is a blue-collar job. You're putting in the hard work. You're just getting your hands dirty. What does that kind of money mean to you and to your life?
Well, I mean, it's amazing. I feel like part of the reason that I'm able to do a camp in Thailand and be able to bring people out is because I've made those bonuses, and I've been able to kind of like invest that money back into training. I'm like able to get better recovery now. I'm able to bring training partners with me places. Like it definitely has like helped me be able to grow my skill set within the sport. So I'm so thankful for those bonuses.
Well, you definitely earned them, and it's great to hear you've kind of reinvested the money in yourself. I'm going to ask you two more before I let you go. One, you mentioned you've trained with Mayra Bueno Silva. Having been in the cage with her, so to speak, at least in training, what was your take on her skill set, her strength? How did that all play out without giving too much behind the scenes away?
Yeah, no, she's definitely talented, but every girl that's at this level is going to be talented. And it's like who puts it together on fight night? That's kind of who shines. And when the more pressure's on, the kind of better I perform. So I'm just banking on that.
Did you notice because she is or she has been competing as a bantamweight, was there much of a strength differential, or did you kind of just feel like, hey, she's just basically same as me?
Yeah, the same. Like I mean, just because a girl's a 35er versus 25, but it's like I fought at 115 before. I fought at 25, I fought at 35. It's like it doesn't really matter.
And then before I let you go, we saw that big Mike Tyson Jake Paul event. I'm not going to ask you about that fight, but there was also the Amanda Serrano Katie Taylor fight. Did you catch that, and what did you think? Because honestly, that was one of the best boxing matches. Never mind male or female, but one of the best matches I've seen in a good long while.
Yeah, that was an amazing fight. I watched that fight, and like those two chicks are very, very talented. It's cool to see how much like boxing has grown, martial arts has grown. All like sports have grown for females. Before you would see girls and like it'd be like, oh, kind of thing. We don't even really want to watch them. It's like when you go and get a beer or whatever. But no, like those girls, like they're very talented, and it's really cool to see how much women's sport has grown.
Well, they definitely stole the show that night. Hopefully, you're going to steal the show. I believe it's February 1st in Saudi
Yes,
Arabia against Shitara Mayra Bueno Silva. Jasmine, best of luck in the fight. Looking forward to it. Always represent Canada well, and hopefully, it's going to be another big win for Team Canada that night.
for sure. Thank you so much. Always great chatting with you.
Great. Thanks, Jazz. You have yourself a great day. Stay warm. This weather is crazy.